the poetry here in her own little way, or in her big major way. So right now I'd like to introduce to you Darlene Johnson, my mom, reading some cowboy poetry.
Hi. I'm from Montana originally, and it was really fun to go back this year and spend a few months out in that area. And since I've been around here and saw some poetry, I got rather excited when I heard about cowboy poetry. And there was a Bob Peterman that was quite a famous writer out in Montana and Dakotas. And he's read in Medora, which I'll mention in one of the poems. And Medora is known for the Teddy Roosevelt National Park, where they have a wildlife reserve. There's a lot of buffalo and antelope and all types of wildlife there that you can go and observe. You can drive through, and that's my husband and I did. We went, I guess it's about a 45-minute drive one way, and we turned around and went back through the other because we enjoyed it so much. So, but Bob writes about his experience as he got into doing poetry, and I thought it was rather a humorous poem. He wrote Cowboy Poetry Fever, or Sanity versus Sanity. I've always enjoyed poetry, even when I was a kid, but it was something that you read, not something that you did. Well, I got an invitation to Medora in the spring. I wasn't asked to do a poem, but to play guitar and sing. I listened and I wondered where those guys got all the time. A rancher doesn't have time to waste writing words that rhyme. But I stayed all day and listened to those poets of rank and fame, and like the crowd, I sat in awe of this poem writing game, not realizing that this poetry, like a virus or the flu, gets in your brain and incubates till it gets control of you. Well, somehow I had caught it, for as soon as I got home, my mind began to think of words that would become my poem. I couldn't work, I couldn't eat, I tossed and turned all night. My dreams were filled with mating words that drifted from my sight. My muscles twitched, my body itched. The words like chicken feathers floated all around in Paris, but they wouldn't fit together. Enough, I cried, my brain is fried. This thing has got me down. I stumbled to my pickup and I headed into town. At the place I stopped, the sign said, psychiatric care. Alas, I cried, I'll be all right. I'll find relief in there. Well, I told the doc my story. He listened with a frown. He said, my son, the cure might be to write all this gibberish down. For when you put it on paper, it clears it from your head, and maybe then you can relax and sleep soundly in your bed. Try it a little while. Then with any luck, your condition should be stabilized. And your bill's $500. Going home, I bought pads, pencils at Kmart in the square. I thought of 1,000 words to write as soon as I got there. The words, they tumbled out and they dribbled from my lips. I tried to write them down, every one, with flattened, worn-out pencil tips. And day and night and on, I wrote on every page until my wife exploded in a fit of horrible rage. My God, she screamed in anguish, I've a lunatic for a spouse. On every square inch of my house, there's bits of poetry scribbled. You've got to stop, you crazy fool. Our marriage is a wreck. I even found a little rhyme on this canceled grocery check. Well, that very day, by sheer willpower, I vowed that I would quit. I'll bury myself in my ranch work till this nonsense I forget. There's haying to do, so on the swather going round and round, I left those words all lying in long windrows on the ground. And baling was good therapy, for with the grass and hay, I rolled those words in big round bales for some cold wintry day. I enjoyed my writing chores, and when I thought of matching words, I just scattered them down the ridges like a parade of horse leading turds, or like a parade horse leading turds. Oh, this work therapy, it was working. And as days turned into weeks, my eyes had lost their glassy stare, and there was color back in my cheeks. I moved my cows and fixed some fences where it was loose and sagging, and I hauled home almost all the hay without falling off the wagon. Well, the fever took hold again when I got an invitation to another cowboy gathering. This was my ruination. The words began to build again till my mind just plumb exploded. They spewed out just like buckshot from a 10-gauge double-loaded. I wrote, I spouted rhyming words all through the long winter's day. Boy, I sure felt better, but I was weak and somewhat thinner. And I'm going to write some poetry. The ranch can go to, well, I'll just buy the darn place back again when my poetry starts to sell. They like to, cowboy poets are really famous supposedly for honoring their wives and writing poems about them in appreciation for what all they have to put up with. And of course on a ranch, there's a lot of work and they work together. And his wife, he spoke of like Broadway musicals and that sort of thing, Porgy and Bess and Pacific or South Pacific. And in Camelot, you've heard the music that is written, If Ever I Should Leave You, and this is his version of it. And this was a tribute to his wife. If ever I would leave you, it wouldn't be in summer. That is when I need you, on the haying crew. Your hair streaked with gun grease, your lips chapped and dry. How you run a swather just brings a twinkle to my eye. But if ever I would leave you, it wouldn't be in autumn, because when you gather cattle, I know I've got 'em all. I've seen you on a roundup, and when we peg-check cows, I need you in the autumn. I couldn't leave you now. And could I leave you feeding cattle in the snow or packing in firewood when it's 32 below? If ever I would leave you, how could it be in springtime when the pen is full of heifers that are due? Oh no, not in springtime, summer, winter, or fall. This ranch just couldn't run without you. No, not at all. He writes with a lot of wisdom and wit and insight. And I asked Daryl, who's quite a communicator, to read the next poem that he wrote because I liked the expression he put in it. It's called Once Upon a Discovery. You listen to that, I know you'll enjoy this.
I think this is a rancher's tribute to the scientific community. The world's greatest scientists were gathered in a ring, discussing world problems and other scientific things. One had this little ball of stuff his neighbor asked to see. He'd never seen anything like it. What on earth could this thing be? He scrutinized it thoroughly. No answer came to light, so he passed this mystery on to the scholar on his right. Not one man could figure out the secret of this thing as it got passed from hand to hand completely around the ring. Each one had looked it over and examined it with care. Not one could find a single clue as to what or why or where. What is it? Where would it come from? What theory do you propose? The first one answered, I have no idea. I just found it in my nose.
Is that earthy? That's cowboy poetry. I hope you enjoyed it.